Hi everybody, this is Bonnie Barker with Bonnie Bay Crochet, and today I want to show you how to make the colorful woven stitch cowl. This works up very quickly. It's a lot of fun to make, and it's a good project if you've never learned how to make the woven stitch. This will give you a lot of practice on working the woven stitch, which is kind of an interesting stitch if you've never tried it before. I do have the complete tutorial following this intro, so you'll be able to know how to make this stitch. If you need additional stitch support, please check the video description below, and I'll have additional stitch videos or aid stitch video for you so that you can check that out should you want to view this with more of a monochromatic type of yarn. Well, let me go ahead and show you what you're going to need. For this project, I'm going to be using one hank of a sock, or what's commonly called fingering weight wool, and this is hand dyed by a company named 29 Bridges Studio. Of course, feel free to use whatever local yarn, particularly hand dyed, that you have available in your area. This particular hank has 463 yards or 100 grams. This is 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. This is going to give us a lot of drape with that particular blend. Okay, and I'm also recommending, as always, that you have a crochet hook. I'm going to be using size G or 6 or 4.00 millimeters. And if you would also have a yarn needle and a pair of sharp scissors handy. To begin, we're going to make our slip knot, and then we are going to make a starting chain of 150 chains. After crocheting 150 chains, we're going to join with a slip stitch to the first chain, but we want to be very careful to not twist the chain. So I'm going to be very careful to make sure that the side that I want facing is facing. Okay, and this is the chain I want. And we're going to join with a slip stitch. I'm going to chain 2, and then I'm going to double crochet in that same place as joining. And I'm going to double crochet in each stitch all the way around. So go ahead and work this round. At the end of this first round, we're going to join with a slip stitch to the top of the very first stitch, like that. And at the end of the next 4 rounds, we're also going to join to the top of the first stitch, just like that. We do not need to turn, so let's go ahead and chain 2, and we're going to work 4 additional rounds of ribbing, just like this. We're going to work a front post double crochet around that first stitch, and follow that with a back post double crochet, a front post, and you're just working the hook around the stitch, and then a back post. So work that all the way around, join with a slip stitch to the very first stitch of the round at the end of each of these rounds. So go ahead and work rounds 2 through 5 in the same way. At the end of round 5, I'm just going to join with a slip stitch to that first stitch, just like we should have been doing for every one of those rounds. So let's take a look, and this is what you should have after 5 rounds. And I just love the explosion of color with this yarn. It's going to be very fun to work with. Alright, so now we're ready to start the main stitch of this, which is called the woven stitch. We're going to chain 2, and starting in the next stitch, we're going to wrap the hook, working in the top loops, insert the hook, pull up a loop, pull through 1 loop only, yarn over, pull through 2, that's half of the stitch. Then we wrap the hook again, insert into the same stitch, pull up a loop, and then just pull through 2 like that. It's a little different. Okay, now we're going to do that again. We're going to skip the next stitch. So we're going to work this in every other stitch around. We wrap the hook, insert, pull up a loop, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, and then just pull through those 2 without wrapping for that second half. Let's do that again. Skip the next stitch, we wrap our hook, insert into the next loop, pull up a loop, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert into that same loop, pull up a loop, and then just pull through 2 again without wrapping for that second half. So this is what the stitch will look like. And what's really great about this is it is reversible. Okay, so we're going to skip the next stitch. This will be the last time I do this. Insert, pull up a loop, pull through 1 loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert into that same stitch again, pull up a loop, and then just, well, let's do that part again, and then pull through 2. Okay, so go ahead and work that in every other stitch all the way around, and then I will show you how to connect to the chain 2 space at the end of this round and show you how to continue from there. At the end of this round, we're going to skip the last stitch and we're going to join with a slip stitch to the chain 2 that's at the very beginning of the round. Chain 2, and now we are going to start turning at the end of each round. Now we're going to work in between those woven stitches. So let's go ahead and start the first one. So there's a space in between. If you can see that, you can see the stitch kind of like it's kind of on its side a little bit. We'll go ahead and work a wattle stitch. In between, I'll do this a couple of times so that you see where these are. You can see a decent sized space in between, as you can see where my finger's showing through the space there. And if you still have a hard time seeing it, it'd be every other stitch here. Okay, so go ahead and work this all the way around. At the end of the round, we're going to join with a slip stitch to the chain 2 space, which is right here. And then we will turn after we do that, and we will just again repeat round 2 until the length or the depth of the cowl is up to 1 inch less than the size that you would like your cowl to be. I'm going to go ahead and work this repeatedly until I get to that point, and then I will show you how to transition back into the ribbing stitches. I wanted to give you one more view of the join just so that this is very clear. When we make the last wattle stitch, it is in the same place where the chain 2 was formed. And then we're going to join with the slip stitch. You can see that it's in the same place. And then chain 2 and turn. It's time for us to return back to the ribbing, and this is how we're going to do that. We're going to start in the next space over here, and we're going to work 2 double crochets in each of those spaces in between the wattle stitches. So again, 2 double crochets, and we're going to work that all the way around. I've ended this round by working 2 double crochets right next to where the chain 2 was begun, and we're going to join with a slip stitch to the top of that very first double crochet of the round. And as usual, this chain 2 does not count as a stitch. Now the next 4 rounds, this would be rounds 2 through 5 of the ribbing, will all be worked the same. We're going to chain 2, and we're going to begin with a front post double crochet followed by a back post double crochet, and we're going to work that all the way around. Front post double crochet, back post double crochet, and then when we get to the beginning of the round, we are going to join with a slip stitch to that very first double crochet. Let me show you, just like we did at the end of this last round. So go ahead and work those 4 additional rounds of ribbing. At the end of round 5, we're going to join with a slip stitch to that first stitch of the round. Go ahead and give it a chain and a nice tug, and I'm going to cut a generous strand. Go ahead and pull it on through, and I'm going to just give a quick tutorial on how to hide this loose thread. I'm just going to thread that into the yarn needle, and this should be pretty easy. I like to hide it on the back side, but honestly this thing is totally reversible. So I'm going to bring this down into the strands here, and since there's a lot of color going on here, this is going to be relatively easy to hide. I'm going to bring it down, and then I'm going to bring it back up to help ensure that this is worked into the strands. Okay, and then I'm going to pull on it so that it doesn't pull itself out. I'm coming close, but not close to the stitches. Go ahead and trim that back, and your cowl is almost ready. I've got a couple more strands to hide, and then I will be totally finished with this cowl and ready to wear. Well, I hope you enjoyed making the colorful woven stitch cowl with me today. If you did, please comment below. I would love to hear from you. God bless. Bye-bye.